It is better to remain silent and be thought a fool than to speak and remove all doubt. Abraham Lincoln, silence is not weakness. They want you to believe that. They profit from your noise, your reactions, your constant need to fill every void with mindless chatter. They feed on the chaos you create, the drama you manufacture, the desperate attempts to validate yourself through endless streams of empty words. This is their world, built on the foundations of distraction and superficiality. But you are not them. Strength is not found in the ability to dominate a conversation, to shout the loudest, or to have the last word. True power lies in the capacity to observe, to listen, to absorb information without revealing your hand. Every word you speak is a piece of yourself given away. Every reaction is a vulnerability exposed. The more you talk, the more you reveal. The more you reveal, the more they can use against you. Consider the predator in the jungle. Does it announce its presence with a roar before the hunt? No. It moves with calculated silence, blending into the shadows, studying its prey with unwavering focus. It waits for the precise moment to strike, expending only the necessary energy to achieve its goal. This is the power of silence, the ability to control the narrative, to dictate the terms of engagement, to strike with devastating precision when the opportunity arises. They tell you that silence is awkward, uncomfortable, a sign of social ineptitude. They pressure you to fill every pause with meaningless banter, to conform to their superficial standards of communication. They fear the quiet because it forces them to confront themselves, to acknowledge the emptiness that lies beneath their constant barrage of words. Embrace the discomfort. Use it to your advantage. Let them squirm in the silence while you gather your thoughts, analyze their weaknesses, and prepare your next move. The world is filled with noise, a constant barrage of information vying for your attention. Social media, news outlets, advertisements, all competing for your limited mental bandwidth. They want to keep you distracted, reactive, and emotionally charged. They want you to make impulsive decisions based on fear and anxiety. Silence is your shield against this onslaught. It allows you to filter out the noise, to focus on what truly matters, to make rational decisions based on objective analysis. Cultivate the art of strategic silence. Learn to listen more than you speak, observe without judgment, analyze without emotion. Let your actions speak for themselves. Let your results be your loudest statement. The less you say, the more power you wield. The less they know, the more vulnerable they become. Silence is your weapon. Use it wisely. Imagine the chess master contemplating the board. He sits in silence, his mind racing with calculations, possibilities, and potential outcomes. He does not speak. He does not fidget. He does not betray his intentions with unnecessary movements. He waits patiently, deliberately, until the perfect moment to make his move. This is the power of silence in action, a calculated strategy designed to achieve a specific objective. They will try to provoke you, to goad you into reacting, to break your silence. They will use insults, accusations, and emotional appeals to trigger your anger, your fear, your insecurities. Do not fall for their trap. Remain calm, composed, and detached. Let their words bounce off you like pebbles against a fortress wall. Your silence is your strength. It is a testament to your self-control, your discipline, and your unwavering commitment to your goals. The greatest leaders throughout history have understood the power of silence. They knew when to speak and when to remain silent, when to act and when to wait. They used silence to create suspense, to command respect, to inspire confidence. They understood that true leadership is not about dominating through words, but about inspiring through action. Silence is not passivity. It is not apathy. It is not a sign of weakness. It is an active choice, a deliberate strategy, a powerful tool for self-mastery. It is the ability to control your impulses, to manage your emotions, to focus your attention on what truly matters. It is the foundation upon which true strength is built. Embrace the silence, master it, and use it to conquer your inner demons and achieve your ultimate potential. Let the world clamor for attention. You will rise above the noise, a silent force to be reckoned with. Your silence throws them off balance. They expect a reaction, a defense, an explanation. When you provide none, they are left grasping at air. their carefully constructed arguments crumbling in the face of your impenetrable stillness. This is psychological warfare at its finest. You are not engaging on their terms. You are dictating the rules of engagement simply by refusing to engage. They seek to control you through your reactions, but your silence denies them that control. It is a demonstration of inner power, a refusal to be manipulated. They may interpret it as arrogance, indifference, or even stupidity. Let them. Their misinterpretations are their weakness. You know the truth, and that is all that matters. The urge to speak, to defend oneself, to correct misinformation, is a powerful one. It is driven by ego, by the need to be right, to be understood, to be validated. But true strength lies in transcending this need. It lies in recognizing that the opinions of others are ultimately irrelevant to your own self-worth and your own goals. What matters is your own internal compass, your own commitment to your values, your own pursuit of excellence. Silence allows you to stay focused on this internal compass, to avoid being distracted by the noise of the external world. It allows you to conserve your energy, to channel it into productive action rather than wasteful arguments. Silence creates space. It creates space for thought, for reflection, for strategic planning. In the heat of conflict, when emotions are running high, it is easy to make impulsive decisions that you will later regret. Silence allows you to step back from the fray, to observe the situation with clarity and objectivity. It allows you to identify the true threats and opportunities, to formulate a plan of action that is both effective and sustainable. This is not about avoiding conflict altogether. It is about choosing your battles wisely, about engaging only when it serves your strategic objectives. Imagine a chess player who reacts impulsively to every move made by their opponent. They would quickly become overwhelmed, their strategy would crumble, and they would be easily defeated. A master chess player, on the other hand, remains calm and composed, even under intense pressure. They carefully consider each move, anticipating their opponent's reactions and formulating a long-term strategy. This is the power of strategic silence. It is the ability to think several steps ahead, to anticipate the consequences of your actions, and to make decisions that are aligned with your overall goals. The world is full of people who are eager to give their opinions, to share their perspectives, to dominate the conversation. But few are willing to listen, to observe, to truly understand. Silence is the key to unlocking this hidden world of information. By remaining silent, you create an opportunity for others to reveal themselves, to expose their vulnerabilities, to betray their intentions. You become a master observer, a silent student of human nature. This knowledge is invaluable. It allows you to anticipate the actions of others, to navigate complex social situations, and to build stronger, more meaningful relationships. Your silence is not an absence, it is a presence. It is a force that commands attention, that demands respect, that inspires fear. It is a signal that you are not to be trifled with, that you are in control of your emotions and your actions. It is a demonstration of inner strength that speaks louder than any words ever could. Let them underestimate you. Let them misjudge you. Let them believe that your silence is a sign of weakness. They will soon learn the truth. Your silence is your weapon, and you are not afraid to use it. The discipline of silence extends beyond the verbal. It encompasses the control of your impulses, the management of your reactions, the mastery of your inner state. It is about cultivating a stillness within, a sense of peace and equanimity that allows you to navigate the chaos of the world with grace and composure. This inner stillness is not a passive state. It is a dynamic force, a source of strength and resilience that allows you to overcome any obstacle and achieve any goal. It is the foundation upon which true self-mastery is built. The journey to mastering silence is not an easy one. It requires constant vigilance, unwavering discipline, and a willingness to confront your own inner demons. There will be times when you feel the urge to lash out, to defend yourself, to prove yourself right. In those moments, remember the power of silence. Remember that your words are weapons and that they should be used with precision and purpose. Remember that true strength lies not in speaking, but in knowing when to remain silent. Embrace the challenge. Embrace the struggle, embrace the silence, and you will unlock a power within yourself that you never knew existed. Consider the story of a young executive named Sarah, working in a fiercely competitive tech company. Her team was constantly vying for recognition, resources, and ultimately promotion. One particular colleague, Mark, was notorious for his aggressive tactics. He frequently interrupted others in meetings, took credit for their ideas, and spread rumors to undermine his rivals. Sarah, initially, felt the instinctive urge to retaliate. She wanted to expose Mark's manipulative behavior, to defend her own contributions, and to set the record straight. She prepared counterarguments, rehearsed scathing remarks, and fueled herself with righteous anger. However, she paused. She recognized that reacting impulsively would only play into Mark's game. It would drag her down to his level, consuming her energy and distracting her from her goals. Instead, Sarah chose silence. She observed Mark's actions with detachment, studying his patterns, his weaknesses, and his motivations. She didn't engage in his petty conflicts, nor did she allow his provocations to affect her inner state. She remained calm, focused, and professional, even when Mark directly targeted her. While he was busy trying to tear others down, Sarah dedicated herself to excelling at her work. She quietly built a reputation for reliability, competence, and integrity. She focused on delivering exceptional results, exceeding expectations, and contributing meaningfully to the company's success. Her silence was not a sign of weakness, but a deliberate strategy. It allowed her to conserve her energy, to maintain her focus, and to gather information. It also allowed her opponents to reveal their true nature, to expose their flaws, and to make mistakes. Over time, Mark's aggressive behavior backfired. His colleagues grew tired of his constant negativity and his attempts to manipulate them. His superiors began to question his judgment and his leadership abilities. Sarah, on the other hand, earned the respect and trust of her peers and her superiors. Her quiet competence and her unwavering integrity spoke volumes. When the time came for a promotion, Sarah was the obvious choice. Her track record of success, her ability to work effectively with others, and her reputation for sound judgment made her the ideal candidate. Mark, consumed by his own petty rivalries and his need for constant validation, had sabotaged his own chances. He had mistaken Sarah's silence for weakness, failing to recognize the power and the discipline that lay beneath. He underestimated her, and in doing so, he paved the way for her triumph. Sarah's silence was not passive acceptance of injustice. It was a strategic choice, a deliberate act of self-control, and a powerful demonstration of inner strength. It allowed her to rise above the fray, to maintain her integrity, and to achieve her goals without resorting to the tactics of her rivals. It was a testament to the transformative power of silence, and a reminder that true strength often lies not in what we say, but in what we choose not to say. It is in that restraint, that holding back, that the true power resides. The trap is in believing that volume equates to victory. The weak drown in a sea of their own words, desperate to be heard, to be validated, to fill the void within. They mistake constant communication for strength, failing to realize that every word expended is a depletion of energy, a revealing of strategy, a potential point of vulnerability. They believe that silence is a sign of weakness, an admission of defeat, an inability to compete in the verbal arena. They see it as a vacuum to be filled, an opportunity to dominate, a chance to assert their perceived superiority. This is their fatal flaw. This relentless need to vocalize every thought, every emotion, every fleeting impulse stems from a deep-seated insecurity, a fear of being overlooked, a desperate craving for attention. They are so consumed with the need to project an image of strength that they fail to cultivate true inner power. Their words become a shield, a mask, a desperate attempt to conceal their own inadequacies. They are unable to simply be, to exist without the constant need for external validation. They are slaves to their own egos, driven by a relentless need to prove themselves to others. This constant striving for external approval leaves them perpetually vulnerable to manipulation. Their opponents can easily provoke them, incite them, and exploit their insecurities. A carefully placed insult, a subtle challenge. A veiled threat is often enough to trigger a torrent of defensive rhetoric, exposing their weaknesses and revealing their intentions. The weak are predictable. Their emotional responses are easily anticipated, their reactions easily manipulated. They lack the discipline to control their impulses, to filter their thoughts, to choose their words with precision and intent. They are driven by emotion, not by reason. They are reactive, not proactive. They are puppets dancing to the tune of their own insecurities. True strength lies in the ability to observe, to analyze, to strategize in silence. It is the ability to listen more than you speak, to learn from every interaction, to gather information without revealing your own intentions. It is the ability to remain calm and composed in the face of adversity, to resist the urge to react impulsively, to choose your battles carefully and strategically. The weak, however, cannot resist the temptation to engage in every conflict, to defend every perceived slight, to prove their worth to anyone who dares to question them. They are easily distracted, easily provoked, easily defeated. Their weakness is not their lack of intelligence or ability, but their lack of self-control. They are unable to master their own minds, to conquer their own insecurities, to silence the incessant chatter of their own egos. And because of this, they are doomed to remain trapped in a cycle of self-sabotage, forever chasing external validation and forever falling short of their true potential. The world is a battlefield of information, and the tongue is a double-edged sword. The weak wield it carelessly, cutting themselves more often than their enemies. The strong sheathe it, waiting for the perfect moment to strike, using silence as their shield and strategy as their guide. This is the difference between survival and self-destruction. The weak reveal themselves in their incessant need to speak. The strong conceal themselves in the strategic deployment of silence. The strategic deployment of silence is not merely the absence of speech. It is a calculated maneuver, a weapon honed over time. It is the conscious decision to withhold information, to mask your intentions, to observe the movements of your adversaries without revealing your own. Think of a predator stalking its prey, moving silently through the undergrowth, its eyes fixed on the target, its body coiled and ready to strike. It does not announce its presence, it does not boast of its power, it does not give its prey any warning of the impending attack. It waits, it watches, it plans, and when the moment is right, it strikes with deadly precision. This is the power of silence. It allows you to gather intelligence, to assess the strengths and weaknesses of your opponents, to anticipate their moves, and to prepare your own counter-strategies. In the realm of psychological warfare, silence is a tool for creating uncertainty and doubt. When others are clamoring for attention, desperate to be heard, you stand apart, a figure of quiet authority. Your silence becomes a source of intrigue, a puzzle that others are compelled to solve. They will speculate about your motives, they will try to decipher your intentions, they will project their own fears and insecurities onto you. And in doing so, they will reveal themselves. They will expose their vulnerabilities, their weaknesses, their hidden agendas. Silence forces others to fill the void with their own thoughts and anxieties. It's a form of psychological jujitsu, using their own energy against them. While they are busy trying to interpret your silence, you are free to observe them, to analyze them, to exploit their weaknesses. Silence is also a powerful tool for maintaining control. In a world filled with noise and distractions, the ability to remain calm and composed is a rare and valuable asset. When others are losing their heads, succumbing to panic, you remain centered, focused, and in command of your faculties. Your silence becomes a source of strength, a symbol of your unwavering resolve. It inspires confidence in your allies and instills fear in your enemies. Furthermore, silence is a shield against manipulation. The more you talk, the more you reveal about yourself, the more vulnerable you become to the influence of others. Every word you speak is a piece of information that can be used against you, a lever that can be used to control you. By remaining silent, you deny others the opportunity to exploit your weaknesses, to play on your insecurities, to manipulate your emotions. You become an impenetrable fortress, a force that cannot be swayed by persuasion or coercion. The mastery of silence is not about being passive or withdrawn. It is about being strategic and intentional in your communication. It is about choosing your words carefully, speaking only when necessary, and always being mindful of the impact of your words. It is about understanding that silence can be just as powerful, if not more so, than speech. It is about cultivating the ability to listen more than you speak, to observe more than you react, to learn more than you teach. The path to true strength lies in the mastery of your own mind, in the cultivation of inner peace, in the ability to remain silent in the face of adversity. It is in understanding that your thoughts and emotions are your own, that you are not beholden to the opinions of others, that you are free to choose your own destiny. Silence is the foundation of this mastery. It is the key to unlocking your full potential. Silence cultivates inner resilience. The modern world bombards us with constant stimulation, a relentless barrage of information designed to capture our attention and manipulate our emotions. Social media algorithms, 24-hour news cycles, and pervasive advertising all contribute to a state of perpetual anxiety and distraction. In this environment, silence becomes a refuge, a sanctuary where you can escape the noise and reconnect with your inner self. It is in silence that you can truly hear your own thoughts, that you can understand your own emotions, that you can discover your own purpose. It allows you to filter out the external noise and focus on what truly matters to you. This process of introspection is essential for building mental fortitude. It allows you to confront your fears, to acknowledge your weaknesses, and to develop a plan for overcoming your limitations. It allows you to build a solid foundation of self-awareness and self-acceptance, which is essential for navigating the challenges of life with resilience and grace. Furthermore, silence fosters self-discipline. The ability to resist the urge to speak, to react, to engage in idle chatter is a sign of inner strength. It demonstrates that you are in control of your impulses, that you are not driven by your emotions, that you are able to think before you act. This self-discipline is crucial for achieving any goal in life. It allows you to stay focused on your objectives, to resist temptations, and to persevere through obstacles. It allows you to master your own mind and to direct your energy towards the things that truly matter. The practice of silence also enhances your ability to concentrate. When you are constantly talking, you are scattering your energy, dissipating your focus, and preventing yourself from achieving deep concentration. By remaining silent, you conserve your energy, sharpen your focus, and create the conditions for deep work. This is especially important in today's knowledge economy, where the ability to concentrate and produce high-quality work is a valuable asset. Silence is not just about withholding speech. It is about cultivating a state of inner stillness. It is about quieting the incessant chatter of your mind, about silencing the inner critic, about finding peace in the present moment. This inner stillness is the foundation of all true creativity and innovation. It is in the moments of silence that you can access your intuition, that you can connect with your subconscious mind, that you can generate new ideas and insights. Cultivating this inner stillness requires discipline and practice. It requires you to resist the urge to fill every moment with activity, to embrace the discomfort of being alone with your thoughts, to find joy in the simple act of being present. But the rewards are immeasurable. The mastery of silence is the mastery of your own mind, the key to unlocking your full potential, and the path to a life of purpose and fulfillment. Silence is the arena of calculated planning. It provides the space to formulate complex strategies, to anticipate potential outcomes, and to refine your approach without prematurely revealing your hand. In the chaotic realm of competition, whether in business, negotiations, or even personal relationships, the ability to strategically deploy silence offers a distinct advantage. Consider a chess master contemplating their next move. They don't verbalize their thoughts or intentions. Instead, they remain focused, analyzing the board, calculating the consequences of each possible move, and waiting for the opportune moment to strike. This is the essence of strategic silence. It allows you to gather information, assess the landscape, and develop a plan of action without alerting your opponents to your intentions. The art of war emphasizes the importance of deception. Sun Tzu famously wrote, "All warfare is based on deception." Silence is a powerful tool for achieving this deception. By remaining silent, you can create ambiguity, sow confusion, and keep your opponents guessing. They will be forced to speculate about your motives, to interpret your actions, and to make decisions based on incomplete information. This can lead them to make mistakes, to overextend themselves, or to underestimate your capabilities. While they are busy trying to decipher your silence, you are free to execute your plan with precision and surprise. Moreover, silence allows you to control the narrative. In any conflict, the person who controls the narrative often controls the outcome. By remaining silent, you can avoid getting drawn into unproductive debates or inflammatory arguments. You can refuse to respond to provocations, to defend yourself against accusations, or to justify your actions. This allows you to maintain your composure, to stay focused on your objectives, and to avoid giving your opponents any ammunition to use against you. When the time is right, you can then choose to speak strategically, to shape the narrative in your favor, and to influence the perceptions of others. The effective use of silence requires a deep understanding of human psychology. You must be able to read people, to anticipate their reactions, and to understand how your silence will affect them. This requires keen observation skills, emotional intelligence, and a willingness to listen more than you speak. You must also be able to resist the urge to fill the silence, to defend yourself, or to explain yourself. This requires self-control, discipline, and a strong sense of self-belief. The strategic use of silence is not about being manipulative or dishonest. It is about being intentional and deliberate in your communication. It is about choosing your words carefully, speaking only when necessary, and always being mindful of the impact of your words. It is about using silence as a tool to gather information, to control the narrative, and to achieve your objectives. It is about understanding that in the game of life, silence can be your most powerful weapon. True mastery lies not in constant talking, but in the carefully considered deployment of its absence. The Roman Empire, a sprawling behemoth of military might and political ingenuity, understood the power of silence on a grand scale. Their legions were not just armies, they were instruments of psychological warfare. Imagine the legions marching, a sea of disciplined soldiers moving in perfect synchronicity, their silence broken only by the rhythmic cadence of their footsteps and the clash of their weapons. This deliberate silence was not merely a matter of military discipline, it was a calculated strategy to intimidate their enemies. The sheer scale of the Roman war machine, combined with its unnerving silence, could crush the morale of opposing forces before a single sword was drawn. Consider the historical accounts of barbarian tribes facing the Roman legions for the first time. These tribes, often accustomed to chaotic and boisterous warfare, were confronted by a wall of disciplined silence. The Romans did not need to shout insults or engage in pre-battle taunts. Their silence spoke volumes, conveying a sense of unwavering confidence and overwhelming power. This psychological advantage often translated into decisive victories on the battlefield. Furthermore, Roman diplomacy, though often brutal, also employed the strategic use of silence. When negotiating with foreign powers, Roman emissaries would often remain impassive and silent, allowing their counterparts to fill the void with nervous chatter and concessions. This tactic, born of experience and honed through generations of conquest, allowed the Romans to gather information, to assess their opponents' weaknesses, and to extract favorable terms. Silence, in this context, became a tool of domination, a means of controlling the narrative and dictating the terms of engagement. Think of the Senate, the heart of Roman political power. While debates could be fiery and passionate, the most influential senators understood the power of judicious silence. They would listen intently, observe their colleagues' reactions, and carefully choose their moments to speak. Their silence commanded respect, conveying a sense of wisdom and authority. When they finally did speak, their words carried weight, often swaying the opinions of the entire Senate. The most effective leaders understood that true power resided not in constant self-promotion, but in the ability to listen, to assess, and to speak only when necessary. In the arena of gladiatorial combat, silence took on a different form. A gladiator, facing death in front of thousands of spectators, often maintained a stoic silence, refusing to show fear or pain. This silence was not just a matter of personal pride. It was a way of denying the crowd the satisfaction of witnessing their fear. It was a final act of defiance, a way of asserting control in the face of inevitable death. This silence, born of desperation and courage, became a powerful symbol of human resilience. Silence played a key role in Julius Caesar's rise to power. He was a master of controlling information and manipulating public perception. He understood that sometimes, the most effective way to silence his enemies was not to argue with them directly, but to simply ignore them. By refusing to acknowledge their existence, he undermined their credibility and marginalized their influence. In many ways, this strategy was more effective than direct confrontation because it denied his opponents the attention they craved. By using silence to manage perception, Caesar skillfully shaped his own narrative, cementing his image as a strong and decisive leader. He understood the crucial difference between a strategic silence and a weakness. Silence isn't merely the absence of sound. It's a potent psychological tool, a strategic weapon capable of shaping perceptions, controlling narratives, and ultimately defining strength. It allows the mind to process information without the clutter of external noise, creating a space for deeper thought and more calculated action. This internal stillness is not passivity. It's a state of intense mental activity, a crucible where decisions are forged in the fires of reason and resilience. The person who cultivates this inner quiet possesses a significant advantage, able to observe, analyze, and react with a clarity that is simply unattainable for those consumed by constant chatter, both internal and external. Think of the chess master, studying the board, his face a mask of impassivity. His silence isn't an indication of inactivity, but rather a sign of deep concentration, a mental battle being waged without a single word. Every move is calculated, every potential outcome considered, all within the silent confines of his mind. This ability to remain silent, to resist the urge to react impulsively, is a hallmark of mental discipline, a skill that can be honed and perfected through practice. The psychology of silence also extends to the manipulation of others. In negotiations, for example, the strategic use of silence can be incredibly effective. After making an offer, remaining silent forces the other party to break the tension, often leading them to reveal their own motivations or concede ground. This tactic leverages the inherent human discomfort with silence, turning it into a tool for gaining leverage. Similarly, in arguments, remaining silent can disarm an opponent, forcing them to confront their own anger or insecurities without the fuel of a reactive response. The silence acts as a mirror, reflecting their own emotional state back at them, often leading to a de-escalation of the conflict. It is a powerful form of nonverbal communication, conveying strength, control, and a refusal to be drawn into unproductive exchanges. Consider the power of silence in the face of criticism. Reacting defensively only validates the attack, giving it the attention and energy it seeks. But responding with silence, with a calm and detached demeanor, can completely neutralize the critic. It signals that their words have no power over you, that you are not swayed by their opinions. This is not to say that all criticism should be ignored, but rather that the initial response should be one of measured silence, allowing for a rational assessment of the situation before any reaction is given. This controlled response projects an image of strength and self-assurance, further undermining the critic's credibility. Moreover, silence fosters self-awareness. In a world saturated with noise, both literal and metaphorical, finding moments of quiet solitude is essential for introspection. It is in these moments of stillness that we can truly connect with ourselves, examine our thoughts and emotions, and gain a deeper understanding of our own motivations. This self-awareness is the foundation of personal growth, allowing us to identify our weaknesses, build on our strengths, and ultimately become more resilient individuals. It's within the quiet spaces that we can rebuild our mental fortresses. The ancient Stoics understood the value of silence, emphasizing the importance of controlling one's thoughts and emotions. They believed that true freedom came from within, from the ability to remain unmoved by external events. Silence, both internal and external, was seen as a pathway to this inner peace and strength. By practicing mindfulness and cultivating a sense of detachment, they were able to navigate the challenges of life with a sense of equanimity, refusing to be swayed by the whims of fortune. This Stoic philosophy highlights the enduring power of silence as a tool for self-mastery and psychological resilience. Furthermore, the impact of silence within social dynamics is often overlooked. A person who speaks sparingly but thoughtfully is often perceived as more intelligent and credible than someone who constantly talks without saying anything of substance. The rarity of their words gives them weight, commanding attention and respect. This is because silence creates an aura of mystery and intrigue, prompting others to listen more carefully when they do speak. It suggests that their words are carefully chosen, not just a stream of consciousness, but rather a deliberate expression of thought. In conclusion, silence is not simply the absence of noise, but a powerful tool for self-mastery, strategic advantage, and psychological resilience. It allows for deeper thought, calculated action, and the manipulation of perceptions. By cultivating inner stillness, practicing strategic silence, and embracing moments of solitude, we can unlock the true potential of our minds and define our strength not by the volume of our words, but by the depth of our inner conviction. Now consider the case of Victor, a man who built a global empire from nothing. He came from a broken home, raised in poverty and burdened with a stutter that made public speaking a living hell. Most would have seen these as insurmountable obstacles, reasons to give up before even trying. But Victor understood a fundamental truth: that silence in its many forms could be his greatest weapon. He wasn't blessed with charisma or silver tongue. Instead, he cultivated an aura of impenetrable calm. In the cutthroat world of international business, Victor rarely spoke first. He would sit in meetings observing, absorbing, letting his opponents reveal their strategies, their weaknesses, their anxieties. While they filled the room with noise, boasting, and posturing, Victor remained a silent predator, patiently waiting for the opportune moment to strike. His silence unnerved them. They couldn't read him, couldn't gauge his intentions. This uncertainty created a psychological imbalance, giving Victor a distinct advantage. When he finally did speak, his words were concise, deliberate, and devastatingly effective. Years of living with a stutter had forced him to choose his words carefully, to distill his thoughts into their purest form. He didn't waste breath on empty rhetoric or emotional appeals. He spoke with the authority of someone who had considered every angle, anticipated every outcome. Competitors would try to provoke him, to goad him into making mistakes. They would question his abilities, mock his background, even attack him personally. But Victor refused to take the bait. He understood that reacting emotionally would be a sign of weakness, a confirmation of their doubts. Instead, he would simply maintain his composure, his face an impassive mask. His silence was not passive. It was an active form of resistance, a refusal to be controlled by their manipulations. This infuriated them even more. They couldn't break him, couldn't rattle him. He was an immovable object, a force of nature. Victor also used silence to his advantage in negotiations. He understood the power of the pregnant pause, the discomfort that silence creates in others. He would make an offer, then simply stop talking, letting the silence hang heavy in the air. His opponents, desperate to fill the void, would often reveal their bottom line, their true motivations, giving Victor valuable information he could use to his advantage. He understood that silence could be more persuasive than any argument, more compelling than any threat. It forced people to confront their own insecurities, their own desires. But Victor's use of silence wasn't limited to the boardroom. He also understood the importance of internal silence, of cultivating a sense of inner peace amidst the chaos of the world. He practiced meditation every morning, finding stillness in the midst of the storm. This allowed him to maintain clarity of thought, to make rational decisions even under immense pressure. He wasn't swayed by emotions, by fear or greed. He was driven by a clear sense of purpose, an unwavering commitment to his goals. His silence was not just an external strategy, it was a reflection of his inner strength, his mental fortitude. Furthermore, Victor used silence to manage his team. He hired the best people he could find, then gave them the space to do their jobs. He didn't micromanage them, didn't constantly second-guess their decisions. He trusted them to execute their plans, and he held them accountable for their results. This created a culture of ownership and responsibility, where people felt empowered to take risks and to innovate. He understood that true leadership wasn't about being the loudest voice in the room, but about creating an environment where others could thrive. He allowed his team's work to speak for itself, letting their accomplishments demonstrate his leadership. Victor's silence also served as a filter. He wasn't easily swayed by trends or fads. He didn't chase every shiny object that came along. He focused on his core values, his long-term vision. He understood that true success wasn't about making a quick buck, but about building something that would last. He remained steadfast in his principles, even when others doubted him, even when the odds were stacked against him. This allowed him to navigate the turbulent waters of the business world with a sense of clarity and purpose. The lesson of Victor's success is clear. Silence is not simply the absence of sound, but a powerful tool for self-mastery, strategic advantage, and psychological resilience. It allows us to observe, to analyze, to calculate. It creates an aura of mystery and intrigue, commanding attention and respect. It allows us to resist manipulation, to maintain our composure under pressure. It fosters inner peace, clarity of thought, and unwavering focus. It empowers others to take ownership and to innovate. It filters out the noise, allowing us to focus on what truly matters. The practice of silence cultivates a space within us, a fortress against the constant barrage of external stimuli that seek to dictate our thoughts and actions. In that quietude, we find the strength to resist the impulse to react, the craving for instant gratification, the fear of being misunderstood. It is in the moments of silence that we forge the mental steel necessary to withstand the relentless pressures of the world. We learn to discern the signal from the noise, to identify the genuine threats from the manufactured crises, to separate our true desires from the artificially implanted wants. Silence is not passivity. It is a strategic choice, a deliberate act of defiance against the chaos that seeks to consume us. It is a weapon, honed and sharpened through constant practice, ready to be deployed with precision and devastating effect. In the silence, you become the architect of your own reality, designing your future with intention and purpose, rather than being swept away by the currents of circumstance. You learn to control your emotions, to master your impulses, to direct your energy towards achieving your goals with unwavering resolve. This quiet strength is not a gift. It is earned through conscious effort, through a commitment to self-discipline, through a willingness to confront the uncomfortable truths that lie hidden within the depths of our own minds. The disciplined mind, forged in the crucible of silence, becomes immune to the petty manipulations and emotional blackmail that cripple the weak. You will see through the facades of others, recognizing their insecurities, their agendas, their attempts to control you. You will no longer be a pawn in their games, but a player in your own, dictating the terms of engagement, setting the boundaries of your own existence. This is not about arrogance or superiority, but about self-preservation, about protecting your mental and emotional well-being from the corrosive influence of negativity and manipulation. It is about refusing to allow others to define you, to dictate your worth, to control your destiny. Silence becomes your shield, deflecting the barbs of criticism, the arrows of envy, the insidious whispers of doubt. It allows you to maintain your focus, to stay true to your values, to pursue your goals with unwavering determination, regardless of the obstacles that stand in your way. It empowers you to become the master of your own domain, a sovereign ruler in the kingdom of your own mind. Consider the battlefield. The most dangerous warrior is not the one who screams and shouts, but the one who moves with silent precision, calculating every step, anticipating every move. Their stillness is not a sign of weakness, but a testament to their control, their mastery of the art of war. They observe, they analyze, they wait for the opportune moment to strike, unleashing their power with devastating accuracy. So too, in the battles of life, the power of silence lies in its ability to create space, to foster clarity, to enable strategic thinking. It allows you to assess the situation, to identify your opponent's weaknesses, to formulate a plan of attack that maximizes your chances of success. It gives you the mental edge, the ability to anticipate your opponent's moves, to counter their strategies, to exploit their vulnerabilities. It allows you to remain calm under pressure, to make rational decisions in the face of chaos, to maintain your composure when others are losing theirs. This is the power of silence in action, the ability to turn stillness into strength, to transform observation into opportunity, to convert analysis into action. Therefore, embrace the power of silence, retreat from the noise, seek solitude, cultivate inner stillness. And when the moment arrives, when the time for action is upon you, speak with the force